Just how deeply in the shit of the Labour Party. And is Keir Starmer starting to panic? Is Rachel Reeves starting to panic? Starmer last week spent a significant part of that week going out of his way to give interviews and press conferences. He held a very significant press conference, basically to badmouth the opposition and spend more time talking about Nigel Farage, talking about reform, talking about Liz Truss, talking about other parties' fantasy economics than he did about anything that Labour are doing. To me, that smacks of panic. So he gave an entire press conference at a factory in the north of England in front of a whole group of journalists where he basically just launched into the previous day's press conference that Nigel Farage and Reform had given and went on the attack against Reform's fantasy economics. He went on the attack against Liz Truss's fantasy economics and basically just slated them. Now bear in mind, Liz Truss's fantasy economics, as he calls it, she was in power for 43 days. They never actually got implemented. Nothing happened. Nothing changed. So he can't possibly claim that that had any effect on the country whatsoever. Nigel Farage and Reform have 5 MPs, a few councils and no power. And they're talking about what they might do in 4 years' time. It's a non-starter of a discussion. It's not important. Why is he so up in arms about a party that's got 5 MPs and what they might do if they somehow magically come to power in 4 years' time? Does that sound to you like a man who's in control of things, or does it sound like a man who's completely spooked? And let's just examine some of the things he's saying. So let's look at, for example, Liz Truss fantasy economics, right? So the big issue with Liz Truss's budget that her and Kwasi Kwarteng brought out was that the markets reacted really, really badly and the long-term borrowing rates went through the roof. The long-term government borrowing and Bank of England borrowing rates went through the roof, gilts, etc., bond market. The reality and the fact of the matter is that the long-term bond rates, the 30-year gilt price at the moment, I think is 5.4%, or actually in reality it's 5.399999, so it's as close to 5.4 as you can get it. That's miles and miles higher than it ever got to under Truss. That's an illustration of the fact that the markets themselves, the people that set these rates, the banks, the Bank of England, actually have less confidence in the long-term position financially now than they did under Liz Truss. Yet all you hear about is Liz Truss crashing the economy. Really? And all we're hearing about is unaffordable promises from Keir Starmer. You're not hearing anything about the fact that this government are going to borrow in the region of 120 to 130 billion pounds this year, which is about 25 billion pound more than they ever said they were going to borrow. So where's that extra 25 billion quid going to come from? Well, your pockets and your taxes and lack of spending on the things that you think you need. So Keir Starmer is talking about other people's financial issues, but those other people are somebody that was in power for 43 days, 2 and a bit years ago, and somebody else who's never been in power, and it's going to be at least 4 years before they possibly even get into power. Shouldn't he be focusing on what he's doing? Shouldn't he be focusing on the economics of his government? Shouldn't he be focusing on the massive rise in borrowing? Shouldn't he be focusing on the fact that long-term gilt rates are the highest level ever? It's a smokescreen. It's gaslighting. It's panic mode is what it is. I'll be amazed if Rachel Reeves is still in her job in 2 months' time. I think Starmer's going to have to sack her. He won't resign himself. So if things continue to look shaky, if the pressure continues to mount, if the polls continue to go against them, he's got to change something. And what he's going to change is we're doing something different on the economy. And old Lego head's going to be for the chop, and he'll bring someone else into that seat. Who that will be, I have no idea, because there's no strong candidates out there. Who would you pick to be Chancellor amongst the top level Labour MPs at the moment? Do you even know who any of them are? Are there any standout candidates? Any great financial heads? Any whiz-kid businessmen? Any amazing accountants amongst them? Any ex-Bank of England employees like Rachel said she was? Starmer's in panic mode. The Labour Party are in panic mode. And even the press, even the supportive press, are all over him. The BBC and The Guardian asked them some very, very, very difficult questions the other day. They put Starmer right on the spot. They can smell blood. and they may well be supportive overall of his agenda, but they're more supportive of their own ability to generate a big story, and they can smell it. The sharks are circling. Just depends who's going to get eaten first.